episode was brought to you by New Black. They are redefining retail with Eva, a contextual commerce platform that unifies inventory and order management, POS, in-store apps, promotions, loyalty, and clienteling into one seamless system. This is Eva, this is New Black. And we are back with another episode of our Europe's Retail Evolution series in partnership with Shoptalk Europe. Today, we are talking about a very trendy topic. We are talking about retail media. And Shoptalk will have a whole track dedicated to this topic. And I have Christian Raveaux. He's the head of Retail Media Connect at Rewe Group, one of Europe's largest retailers. And he's going to tell us a little bit about the group, the backstage of the operations, and the challenges and opportunities in retail media and how they are doing everything to make partners succeed. Here's Paula Macaggi, and this is episode 61 of my show. Welcome to Off Bounds. Christian, it's such a pleasure to have you here on Off Bounds. It's great to be in Germany with you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for coming all the way from Lisbon to us here in Cologne.
Yeah, so that's a fun fact, but I lived in Berlin and I used to shop at Rewe like every 2 days. So I'm very familiar with the brand and
That's
thank
great.
you for everything. Yeah. But we're here to talk about a topic that, well, I'm sure like you've been very busy with everybody talking about it, right? Everybody wants to know about retail media, which is the topic of these last 2 years. And you've been at Rewe. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, right? Like, how do you call it?
Rewe.
Rewe.
But that's fine. That's fine.
You've been at Rewe
Yes.
for 15 years. Why? What attracted to you? Like, what brought you to retail and what made you stay?
Yeah. So I've been in retail all my life. So prior to this, I've been also working for a department store in Germany. And it kind of felt natural to me all the time. And so when I started at Rewe, back in the days, it was first a stint in Rewe Group Consulting. So that means that as Rewe is also one of the largest tourist operators in Europe, that also meant that I worked for the tourism part for quite a while. I liked it too, but then again, it came back to the thing that I really like retail so much that I wanted to go back, and therefore I worked then on a project for the Rewe in order to make a business case if a loyalty card would make sense for Rewe. Which it did. And from this, I stayed at Rewe.
Yeah, like, so your career was basically on loyalty, digital strategy. How that helped in your retail media path now that you're the head of retail media?
Yeah. So in the beginning, funnily enough, it didn't so much because we've merged the teams together. The very early retail media team, as well as the CRM supplier monetization team, because we thought, wow, we're talking to the same suppliers. It's not that we negotiate. It's a different part of the business, quite similar. So let's put it together. And what we didn't know back then is that loyalty and retail media do have other persons in the business of a CPG company. So loyalty is really much trade marketing driven. Because you see when you activate a coupon and when you redeem a coupon, it's sales activation. So therefore, they were all in for it. Whereas retail media more and more evolved into a lead media play, meaning these people were completely different to the key account people with completely different KPIs, etc., etc. So it was like the whole decision was good in the end. But
it was all figuring it out, right?
Yeah. But in the beginning, it was like it wasn't the easiest start, let's say. And now I think both more and more go together because of the power of loyalty, which it brings to first party data, etc. But back then it was more difficult.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But I think one interesting thing about Rewe like when we talk about retail media in general, when we're talking about Amazon, Walmart, we are usually talking about the digital channels, right? Like how you have that ad when someone is buying online. But you guys are different. You invest in store part of the business. How does it work? And why this decision?
Yeah, so we are actually doing both. And we also have done a lot on on-site marketing, investing in new servers, investing in tech with CDP and whatnot. So we did a lot there, but we also looked more closely at in-store because we really figured we might have a chance at really utilizing the massive amount of frequency that we have in our stores. Also, not just for retail media, but also for the other branches and stakeholders of the Rewe, like marketing for marketing messages, category management to display promo messages,
a new thing happening, like
local merchants if they want to have a wine tasting or whatnot, so that they can advertise for it. And so it's again, it was a conscious decision, yes, but would I have thought it would be this successful? Like in 3 years from now? No.
And how successful? Tell us more about it.
So it's really something that caught the attention of the CPGs as well as the media agencies. And I have to say, in terms of media agencies, beforehand, when they looked at our portfolio, they basically said it's interesting, but it lacks first of all, the ease of buying, and it also lacks the scale. I think ease of buying we've repaired with new ad servers, and scale also came along with that. But they were super interested in reaching a broad amount of customers, also with their messages. So really, this attracted them, and that helped us a lot to basically get traction in this. And so, yeah, now we are happy.
I think like the reason why we talk about retail media so much on digital channels is because it's easy to measure, right? Like, you know, the consumer behavior, you know, this consumer clicked and everything. Yeah. But if you have this big store layout, like, can you possibly know these details as granular as digital? I think that's my biggest question here. Is like, how do you measure it?
Yeah, it's a very valid question. I have a very long answer for it, but I'll cut it short a bit. So for me, it's important to not just measure the impact it has on the incremental sales, but I would start much earlier by saying this is the perfect opportunity for a customer journey to be prolonged in the store. Customers see a TV ad, then they go out on the streets, see out-of-home advertising, then they go into our store, see it again, they remember it, you're in the relevant set then, and then they eventually buy. And this is great. And that's the only one of these mediums where you can actually do this. So therefore, we obviously get scrutinized a lot on the data. And I have to say, I don't think that anyone calls RTL television after a week and says, well, how were the sales? And I would say they don't do the same with Ströer or JCDecaux. They do it with us. I think that's fine. But therefore, I'm always eager to say, yes, we can measure it and we can measure good results there. But it's not just that. It's more. It's an investment in your awareness as well.
So it's like seeing an out-of-home ad, but you're seeing in store. But I think like the valuable part of retail media that we keep saying, and that's why so many dollars are going, so much money is going into it, is because you influence the consumer at the moment this consumer is buying, right?
Yes.
I'm a victim of that all the time.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is a nice recipe. Like, I never thought about combining these two products, or why I don't try this one. Is it possible to say like, yeah, with this ad, an individual bought more of this product or something like that?
It is possible. It's complex stuff, I have to say, and it took us a while to figure it out. And also, it's something it's not so easy to figure it out alone, but it's really something where the whole category of retail media had to figure it out. So I think there's now IAB Europe guidelines on how to measure retail media in store. We also contributed to it. And basically one of the key elements I'd like to point out really is the ability to A/B test it. So what does that mean? That means we play out the spot in the stores that the advertiser wants them to be, but a fraction of those we reserve and do not play out the spot. And they are structurally equal to the other stores. And with this, we kind of measure then in the same given week how the customers buy, and eventually that's the number of transactions with the product on the bill. How do they buy it differently? And what we do see there is the uplift. How does this exactly work? Like what's happening in the brain, what's happening in the category? We don't know yet. Yeah, it's hard to basically plug them to all kinds of devices and then have them go to the store. But the hard measurement says, A/B tested, yes, there's an incremental sales effect on top of everything else in terms of brand preferability, etc., etc.
Very interesting. And what is more interesting is that this is exactly the topic you'll be talking about, Shoptalk.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm so much looking forward to it.
Yeah, why do you think it's important to go to Shoptalk Europe and share your perspective with other leaders?
I think it's important because in my perspective, we are still so nascent in what we are doing. And it's really something where it helps a lot to learn from each other. I'm not saying that I'm the one who can tell everything. Yeah, that's definitely not it.
But you can tell you're part of the...
But
yeah.
I'm also there to listen to others, right? And this mutual understanding and telling of best practices, what works, what doesn't work, that helps the industry so much in going forward. Because for me, ultimately, there's so much more in it. And we should not be reduced on just the measurement piece, but we should more and more broaden the horizon as to the possibilities that we have with retail media.
Absolutely. I think you get some inspiration with other ideas and the questions that people have, right? Because like even myself, I have so many, right?
Yeah.
But like you have the Rewe bonus, which is your own loyalty program. Yeah. Which is different than the partnership you had at Payback before.
That's correct.
Just like to set a little bit of what Payback is, because not all our audience knows. What is Payback and why did you navigate to your own loyalty program?
Yeah. So Payback is a super successful multi-partner loyalty program in Germany. And I think it was one of the first ones. I'm quite knowledgeable about it because, as I said before, I made the business case back then for Rewe to join the program. And certainly then it was the perfect decision for us to step into the loyalty with a proven partner. And that really propelled us as an organization forward, also to using the data.
But like Payback, it's one loyalty program that works for several brands.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you use the card. You can use it, for instance, at DM, which is also a big beauty retailer in Germany. You could use it at department stores, sports stores, etc. You collect a lot of points, and then you can redeem these points either at the partners or in the Payback redemption shop. Both is possible.
And why going from Payback to your own loyalty program?
So what we think is that whilst a multi-partner program has a lot of advances in terms of the pure volume and is a great first step in joining or in doing loyalty, when you get more advanced in what you know and what you want out of a loyalty program, and also when you want to have more liberty in terms of your own decisions, then comes the time where you have to say, it's probably a good time to do our own single partner program. And that's also a thing. So we could have created another multi-partner program with Rewe, with Penny, with Soroyal, etc., etc. But it was a conscious decision not to do it because all of these retailers, they have their specificities that you can then address in a specific program, even until the point of the way how the whole program works, the mechanics are, etc. So therefore, this is what led us to the decision to do it like that.
So I think it's also your data, right? Like it's different than like, you know, that those people that are in your loyalty program, they are your customers. So you also have the data, the first party data that you have.
What I can tell you is that obviously the ownership of the data was definitely one of the decision points here.
Absolutely. And do you have an example of a successful campaign that you've done that worked? Like, tell us a little bit more about how you're doing that.
So I have a great examples, and for me it's really before I pick one or two.
Of course.
Just to say, I think each campaign can be great, even with a low budget, even if you do it on a particular campaign objective. So there are numerous campaigns who are just great for what they are designed to do. But if I want to pick out some lighthouse campaigns, there might be two. So one quite recent, we did a campaign with Unilever and PhD Germany together. So we worked very closely in the connection agency, CPG and us in this triangle. Made a campaign for Magnum ice cream. And the catch really was that obviously you prefer ice cream when the weather is good. And obviously you prefer ice cream.
You prefer ice cream
when
when
the weather is good. And in Germany, the weather is not always good in all of the places.
It's hard to have.
Yeah, it's
except from today. Today's very good.
Yeah, today is great, but it's sometimes different. And so what we did is we looked at weather data, and we did this together with the trade desk. We looked at our sales data, and we kind of saw there are some areas where, although there's great weather, the sales performance of Magnum is a little bit under par, I would say. And so far there, we advertised more in order to encourage customers to buy more ice cream, because it's a spontaneous decision at the point of sale.
And that's like so impulsive, right? Like
Exactly.
I never leave the house thinking about buying a Magnum, but when I'm there and I look at it, I was like, that would be delicious. Yeah.
This really worked great. We had double-digit increases in sales with this approach, and it also raised the marketing effectiveness a lot, because where the sun was there and where people were buying Magnum, you don't really have to advertise more because everything is okay there.
Very interesting. So, I don't know. For me, it's so clear the value of why CPG brands will work on the retail media, especially in store. But I think, is there resistance? Do you think like you have to convince the agencies to work with that? Still, like to take budgets from social media, for example, from social marketing for retail media? Is it still this concern, or?
I wouldn't say it's a concern, but it's obviously something where I give credit to agencies and planners at agencies that they have a really busy job. And with this busy job comes the point that they are potentially using tried and tested tactics over new stuff sometimes. And it's a thing that we need to positively encourage them, show them best cases, come to their agency offices and tell them what we could do together. I think that's important. I don't want to push the agencies too much and saying they could do more. Sometimes that may be the case, but it's more for me, because I want something from them, I would say, that I come to them and my team comes to them and we have these discussions, and we see what works well, what doesn't work so well, in order to get these resolved, these things. And also, I mean, agencies very much also work that there's quite a few silos where they have specialists, and retail media works across the silos. So it's also not so easy for them to kind of spread the wisdom of retail media to every silo. And this is also
That's
where
true.
we
Who
help.
owns it? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Because you're kind of like talking about different parts of the funnel, right? Like it's
Totally. And then, for instance, our in-store products, is it out of home? Is it digital out of home? So is it the digital out of home specialist then, or is it someone else? So who's actually doing it?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think there's like also a omni-channel component there as well. Just like for retailers, it's important to be where your customer is. So you have to be in this multi-channel ecosystem. I think for campaigns, they'll be kind of the same, right?
Yes and no, because there, a planner should know this. Yes, they should know when they have they launch a new product from a CPG, that there are multiple channels where to place it, and we help them obviously, but it's something that they know. So it's really about sometimes aligning what the agency does in their channels to also what is the CPG is doing with their own marketing team, and sometimes also with the trade teams, like what are they actually doing? Because here I strongly believe in, the collaboration piece. If they work together, and I'm not talking about budgets here, I'm just talking about you're making a synchronous approach to a campaign planning, then this definitely helps.
How is on your side, like Rewe side? I imagine that, like just like we were talking about CPGs, it's hard to find who owns the retail media component because it's still kind of new. I think like retail media is also a cross-functional effort from IT, marketing, revenue. Like, how do you navigate your own silos to make it work?
So when we talk to CPGs, it helps that we have so much experience with them and trusted relationships, because the retail media team, it exists since 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so it's not new. Like
it's not new, and we sometimes have long histories with the companies, and sometimes even our peer people at the CPGs did not change so much over the years, and that helps because it really builds trust with them. Obviously, sometimes you have situations where the responsibilities at the CPG side change, and often it was that the responsibility for retail media changed from e-commerce key account managers more to the media teams, and we kind of basically help them navigate this as well and give them some tips.
But then there's like your side as well, right? Like you have, I don't know, a new functionality, like trying to find new innovative ways to engage in campaigns. So you have to go between your own silos to make something work, right?
That's also, that's the case in many occasions. So one is, thankfully, we've identified quite early that the agency business is a different business from the direct selling business. And we hired an agency team who is really there for the agency sides, for the head of retail medias there, but also for the campaign planners, so that they basically know that there are people who understand them, understand their needs, and have time to react quickly to their needs, questions, RFPs, and whatnots.
And then bring it internally to make something work, to make something change.
On the other side, it's we also have a product team and business development team within my retail media team. And they also look to improve things, talk to ad server companies, talk to all kinds of other companies that more and more come on the retail media market. But they also have a crucial role in navigating the relationships with IT, for instance, with marketing, for instance, And so it's really something that if you are bad at relationship building, also internally, then that's not a good thing for retail media, because you're in somewhere or the other dependent on the other stakeholders of your company.
So you are kind of the media business is a relationship business. So, and I've heard that many times, but I never put that in the context of retail media, like how much you have to have relationship both with the agencies, the partners, and I guess from your side also to each of these stores, right? Because they don't want to disrupt their own processes, their own operations. So how you navigate that? And one thing that I have one specific friend that keeps talking about the lack of content control that some retail media have. Like you do a promotion, but like the product isn't close enough. How is that to kind of like create what type of content? Because the content has to match the store experience, right? Like you can disrupt the customer experience. How does it work?
It's difficult. So it's really, for us, a topic where obviously on the entrance screens, it's easy in a sense that you don't have to have the product just nearby, but you have to make sure that the product is available in the store. Yeah, that would help. Otherwise, you would really disappoint the customer. So we've worked on mechanism to make sure that this is the case for a first thing. And then you have the question on digital screens with the products underneath. And this is really super tricky. So basically here, I said, for the moment, I actually do not want to have these kind of placements, because in order to make sure that the content equals to the products underneath is tricky. I would rather leave this for promoted items, for instance, which is not a retail media product, because there, everyone understands, there's a price off and underneath is the product. But if you do a branding campaign, it's hard to tell store owners, please make sure that you place it like this. Yeah. So maybe someday we will have this happen, but for the moment, I say probably difficult.
Yeah, and that's an interesting problem to be solved too, because if you're seeing so many screens, like it has to be a pleasant experience and it needs to make sense, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's complexity management at its best.
And what are the best practices and tips for brands that you'd say they want to engage in retail media in terms of, targeting, ad formats? What are the best practices that these brands are working with?
It's hard to generalize, but I think the best way I would say it is to really think on your campaign objective, right? So you probably know this meme with David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, where basically she comes and in the particular retail media meme, she comes and says, I want to make a great branding campaign. And he goes, come on, stop lying. Yeah, no, I really want to make it. Stop lying. Okay, I want to have more sales. And that's what I mean. It's like if you are crystal clear on what you want to expect out of a campaign, we can help you and it's easy. But if it's like a bit in between, then it gets a bit difficult. So this is my first tip. And then the second tip is it's usually good to also have a better view on the other things that you plan on your media plan. Because my team is trained to look at this and kind of from there go, we could do this, want that, and to kind of combine it in a way that makes sense.
For the campaign goal, right?
Exactly.
If it's just awareness, this is how we do. If it's to drive sales.
So a campaign plan usually is a mosaic. And if you know what should be on it in the end, that helps. And then it's also good to have a look at it and, to see there's a piece of the puzzle that you can put into it and so on and so forth. So, and we help with that.
Very interesting. I would love to, follow you in the office for a week. Because everything seems so complex, right? Like it's still, I think it's a segment of the market that is still maturing. People are learning as you go. Like there's innovation happening every month. Where do you see retail media in the next 3 to 5 years?
That's a good question. It's one that I ask myself also quite often. So for me, retail media could really finally be a linking pin of connecting the marketing funnel in all its pieces. Not from customers. No, it's not a customer. It's someone who leans back on his sofa, who watches Netflix, who watches his particular series, and he sees an ad that is catered to his purchasing habits and not to the series or the contextual one. Yeah, and he sees this, and then he goes on his apps and or he goes out on the streets and he also sees this because it's somewhere nested in his urban landscape. And then he comes to us and he also sees it again and probably gets also then remembered that there is something. And this is really what I mean with relevancy at first, because this is key. And this is the one crucial USP that you have with retail media, but also reach. And this could be the next one. And if you combine this two, that you have really relevant reach, then this could be a great future for retail media. And also finally serious competition for the other media players in the game.
And I don't know if like all these personalization topics that we're also talking so much about, especially with the evolution of AI, if you can have like hyper personalized campaigns in the future. I'm interested in seeing if that's possible. Paula walked into the store, so let's show that it's consumer, etc. I don't know if that can be something.
The thing is though, if Paula walks into the store and it's a grocery store, it's usually the same. And usually it's the same other people that walk into the stores. So there's historical data involved on the shopper profiles that shop at the store at given times. So there's a lot of knowledge. So
like people like Paula that comes at 3 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. It's not this. So especially on in-store digital signage, I don't really think it'll go to one-to-one marketing because that's a bit scary. It's like a Minority Report. I think it's
creepy. Right?
Yeah. So that's not what I have in mind. It's more that one to a selected few. Yeah, in a sense that it's still a reach, a sizable audience, but it's catered that there is with this audience a high propensity for the given products.
And like this is off the script.
Yeah, okay.
I'm curious. Learning from you, like you took on this challenge, right? Like of building, of being the head of something new for a company that, as I said, like it's a segment that is maturing. What would be your advice to yourself?
Yeah.
Once you started it, what would you tell to yourself once you accept this challenge? What would be your advice to your younger self?
Wow, that's a good question. It's two things really. One is patience. Yeah, it's the long game. Yeah, you have to see, especially the Rewe Group. It's a cooperative. And that means that the individual store owners own our company. And that also means that you do have heterogeneous opinions. And then again, it's quite a large entity. So you also have quite a lot of stakeholders with also different opinions on things. And it's really about building a consistent narrative. And it's explaining to them, telling them these are the advantages, kind of going to their questions and objections. And this is not, Rome wasn't built in a day and retail media isn't also built in a day. That's really it.
Yeah, it's about the long-term game, right?
Yeah.
All right, so now is like one of my favorite parts of this interview, which is our quick fire chat.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm scared.
You just have to say something quick, like something that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right. So, one word to describe your leadership style.
Collaborative.
Very good. What is the biggest misconception people have about retail media?
That is just performance marketing.
All right. The retail trend that you wish should disappear.
It's disappearing. It's the over-reliance on third-party cookies.
All right, this is a good one. What is your one tip to prepare for Shoptalk Europe?
Bring sunscreen.
It's going to be in sunny Barcelona.
Yes.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
Oh, it's supposed to be quick, right? Oh. I think stay true to yourself. Oh, no.
Better one. That's a better one.
It's a different one. It's a different one. I'm sorry. My best career advice is I was working at Nike as a working student back in the days. And they sent me a booklet with their vision and mission statement and their guiding principles. And one I still keep for today, and it's be a sponge. I really like that one.
Meaning what? Like that you absorb everything?
Yes, it's really absorbing a lot of things and trying to make an order out of it. But it's not like, listening to a bit of it and they say, oh, that's enough. Now I know everything. But really trying to get behind it and getting into the detail and understanding it.
And what is the one thing most people don't know about you?
So, it's that I've visited a certain concert last year in Gelsenkirchen, and it was a Taylor Swift concert.
Are you a Swiftie?
I would say yes.
Amazing! All right, like this is perfect for us to close this interview. We'll play some Taylor Swift at Shoptalk Europe. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Yeah, thank you so much.